All right, hey fellow coder, welcome to this next installment in our series where we are building a real-world web app from scratch and deploying it to the web using a sort of Dockerized setup. So in this particular lesson, we're going to be continuing our little mini-series where we've been Dockerizing and deploying our application to the internet. As you can see here, this is our application on the internet on a droplet, which is just a cloud server available through DigitalOcean. However, it's not secure. Okay, so this is an unsecure connection, which is not best practice. So hopefully in this video, we will be adding in an SSL certificate. But before we do that, there's a refactoring I want to do with our previous setup from the previous video. So if you want to see a bit of refactoring as well as setting up an SSL certificate, stick around. All right, fellow coder, let's dive into the good stuff. So first, like I said, I want to refactor. And why I want to refactor is because we have we have 4 different containers that we're working with: a web server, a front end, a back end, and a MySQL container. The web server and the front end can actually be combined together. So instead, we can go from 4 containers down to 3 because the front end server, as you can see from here, doesn't actually ever start up completely. We don't have a command to completely start it up. Its purpose, the front-end container's purpose, is just to create some static files that we then use volumes to share with the web server instance, and the web server instance or container is what actually runs. So the front-end container right now is just sort of, it's not helpful on its own. So I want to combine these two together. And I'll show you what I mean by combining those two things together. The first thing we need to make note of is in our Docker Compose file, we need to make note of our web server, the ports that it uses, and the image. Yes, as well as let's just copy all this. I want to copy it all to keep it. For reference sake. I'm hesitating because now I'm like, wait, is this? I think this is gonna work. So again, this is me going rogue here. Our setup works as it is. It's just I just think it could be improved, and that's the what it is to be a programmer. We're always trying to optimize things that probably don't need to be optimized. But anyway, let's ignore the fact that we probably shouldn't do this and go into our Docker file for the front end. So our Docker file from the front end, as you can see, has no actual command to start it up. We do a build, and then that's it. But let me show you a neat trick that you can do with Docker files. You can actually combine 2 images or different phases, different steps in a Docker file. So you can do another from here, because we've done one from, which starts with this node 17 enabled Alpine Linux instance or whatever, or image, and its purpose is to create this build directory, right? So what you can do is you can assign this to be an alias. We can call this build, for instance. You can call it whatever you like. We'll call it build. And then you can say from another image. And this other image that we were working with was Nginx version 1.21.6 hyphen Alpine, right? So you can call this what you don't have to call this anything, because unless you want to refer to it, you don't have to call it anything. You could call this stage 2 or production, I don't know, whatever you want to call this step, but it's another step in our Docker file in our image creation. So we start with the first step, which is everything before the second from. This is the build step. And then after we've done the build, now we can actually fire up this other image, right, and start to work with it. So we can copy from build the files being /app/build directory. So from the build step or stage, we can copy paste that into where the user share Nginx HTML folder. Okay, so we can copy the contents of build and paste it into the Nginx. So normally when you do copy, like we had up here, normally when we copy, it copies from the host This would be the host files being copied into the container. Literally right here, host machine container. This from flag overrides this default functionality of being host. When we say from, we're going to change the from part, right? So instead of this being from the host machine, which would be the droplet, we're grabbing it literally from right here, from this build stage. Everything, we're grabbing it from here, but literally we're grabbing this build, run build command will create the build folder, and that's what we're going to copy from. We're going to copy from the previous image, grab that build folder, and put it into this image. Okay, so boom, now we can have, now we don't have to do all this volumes stuff anymore. It sort of simplifies it a little bit. And then this image that we're building here can become our new web server. However, we do need to give this a command to fire up, right? In our Docker Compose, we don't have a command to fire it up, and it's doing something. It has a default entry point, I believe, that it runs for itself. So I just need to grab the where is it? This guy, CMD here. So there's a CMD nginx-d daemon off or daemon off. So there's a command that we can add here, which has three things. It has what was it? Start? No, nginx to start it. -g, lowercase g. I'm not sure what that does. Again, you could probably look that up. Same with this. Daemon off. Daemon, I don't know, however you pronounce that. But boom, that's how you then fire up this image and actually have it start and run, right? Am I missing anything? So just like you can see here, they did the from, and then they did an expose. But anyway, we'll do the we'll do that in the the compose file. So sweet, that is now us combining everything into one image, right? One container, one whatever you want to call it. So now we can go back and we can edit our Docker Compose file, and now our front end, which builds that Docker file that we were just modifying, our front end becomes the front end, right? This is our web server. This is our Nginx. So we can change these ports to be 8080 and 443 because we can now get rid of this web server completely, right? Almost completely. Oh no, we can get rid of it completely. We do need to grab the volumes though. This one, let me copy that. We'll still need that for this second step of this video, which is the, I'm doing too many things at once. The cert bot to create the SSL certificate. So let's grab the volume. Oh, we can replace it. We can replace this one because we don't need that one anymore because we literally did that already inside of the Docker file. We added the build from, so we don't need to be sharing the volume, the web data volume anymore. We don't even need it. So we can get rid of this web data volume. So that simplifies that. And we can get rid of this entire web server, Ooh, but we probably want to grab these and keep these. These we will also need for the second step, which is the certbot step. So let me just copy those in. Is there anything else I need to copy from here? No. So we can just delete all of this. Delete. And now without that web server, again, we still have a web server. It's just contained now inside of the front end service. Okay. So now the front end service is what will have our web server running. But now, as you can see, there's no more 3000 anymore, right? It's this port 80. I guess we could we make this forward to 3000 internally? Let me think. Is that what we want it to do? I mean, I think so. We want port 80 to go to 3000. Is that what we want to do? Hold on. No, I think the rest of the configuration probably has to happen inside of the where'd it go? The nano Nginx configuration, right? So in the Nginx configuration, this probably needs to change. Because what this is saying is, hey, listen on port 80. If anything comes in, direct it to the user share. Actually, that might still work. For now, that might still work. And the proxy pass. Yeah, will that work? Yeah, because we don't have anything running on port 3000. Yeah, we don't have anything running on port 3000. Right. The port 3000 thing was part of the development server that we were running that's not running anymore. So I don't think anything changes in here. I think we're actually just good. We don't have to change anything. Famous last words. So let's do a Docker compose up and build because we've made some changes. And then we'll run it in the background. Hopefully nothing breaks. Okay, good. So now, as you can see, it created just 3 containers, not 4, right? And if we do want to Docker compose logs and follow, just to have a look and peek and see if anything is catastrophic here. So the front end looks like it's starting. I don't see any, at least at first glance, I don't see any catastrophic errors or anything. Looks like the back end is coming up. So let's just see if we go to slash login, let's say. Okay, it tries to forward a dashboard. Look at that. Boom. Oh, God. I love it when a plan comes together, right? So let's log out. Boom, we logged out. We can log back in. Let's make sure wasn't a fluke. Goes beautiful. Okay, amazing. So, very rarely, ladies and gentlemen, does that work on the first try. I am very proud of myself for doing that. So, you see, we've taken the separate container, the separate web server image that or container with that image, the Nginx image. We sort of took that and put it into our front end service, the front end container, because the front end container was just coming up and then coming back down, right? It was starting up, creating a build folder, and then sharing it with the volume, and then shutting itself down. Now we've combined those two together, because if you have a container that's shutting itself down, probably means it could be combined with another container. Who knows? Cool. So now the part that you've all been waiting for 12 minutes, thank you for waiting, is the SSL certificate portion of our conversation, of our TED Talk. So what do we do for SSL? So for SSL, there's a service called Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt. And they have a service called CertBot, which you can leverage to get certificates, right? SSL certificates. You used to have to pay for these quite a bit. I think I paid $300 a year for my SSL certificate. So the fact that we can do this for free now is amazing. Sure, it's a bit of setup, but it's well worth it to save $300 a year. So let's get started with that. How do you use this? Well, there is in Docker Hub, if I go, do I have Docker Hub open? No. If I go to hub.docker.com, there is an image called certbot. Certbot. So now there's a bunch of different certbots. I've never even really looked into all the different. Oh, look, there's a DNS official build. DNS using DigitalOcean. There's probably a better way to do this then, ladies and gentlemen, but I've been using certbot. And this certbot image, if I go to the tags, I think I ended up grabbing the latest one, because I think the other versions that I was using were not working properly, and probably because I couldn't find one that was like an Alpine. So it could have been an issue of well, I don't know what it would have been an issue based off of, but I guess I could look at this Linux AMD 64. I guess this is the one that was working. So can I find another one that has a version? I don't like using latest, because latest changes, right? You don't want to have something that will change on you randomly one day and then it all of a sudden won't build anymore. It will break. You want to kind of stick to an image that has some predictability to it. So in other words, one of these, right? Something that has a version on it. So Linux ARM 64, is that what the first one was? AMD 64. So we want to look for something that's maybe AMD 64. Do they have, here we go, AMD 64 123. Beautiful. Sold. I'm going to grab that guy. So let me copy that. And I'm going to go to my Docker Compose. So let's nano Docker Compose. And this will be another container. Although, just like I said before, if you have a container that's booting itself up and then shutting itself down, you could probably combine it with another image. And that's exactly what this certbot image is going to do. I'm trying to think, is there any way that I can combine this? Because the problem is you need the web server running first before you do this certbot thing. So that's where the only wishy-washy part is. I don't know if this will work otherwise. Anyway, let me just create another service. We'll call it we'll call it SSL service. The image will be copy paste. Let me just get rid of the Docker pull because we're going to get it from certbot version 1.23.0. It will have volumes. Let me think. Can I do this without cheating and looking at my notes? I'm assuming it has to use these two volumes. So let me copy those and paste them in here. Right? Only this one won't be read-only. It'll be read-write. Same here. Read-write. Okay. So, yes. So then we will uncomment these guys so that it'll share over here, read-only. So yeah, we're gonna the important folders will be var www certbot and the etc or whatever let's encrypt. Okay, and that's going to be shared with the same folder structure over here. And pay attention to this one, var www certbot, because that is where one of our server in the Nginx configuration file, the other config file that we look at constantly, that's what the root is. That's where we return the path for the specific certbot command that it does. It visits a certain path to do a challenge. Anyway, you'll see. These two paths are important. So let's see. Image, volumes. I can't think of anything else that we need to do, except for probably this depends on the front end, which is the web service, I believe. So we need to wait until the web server's up. And then there are commands that we have to do. Okay, a bunch of commands. So these ones I did not memorize. Let me grab it from my notes. All right. Just wanted to save some time for you guys and when I grab them from my notes. And I'm going to come over here and paste them in. Paste. So there's a lot of commands here, right? So I'll go through them and explain. So basically what we want to do is we want to do cert only. So on a certbot enabled image, you are able to do a cert only command, which will essentially go and try to get a certification, an SSL certificate issued, right? Webroot W, I don't know. I don't know what these do. I apologize. I assume it has to do something with this particular path. Again, this path, var www certbot, is what we have right here, var www certbot. So this cert only command is going to write into this directory, which is going to write into here, which is going to share over here, which is then going to share over here. Okay? And over here is the front end app. So we're going to get these files over to the front end, if all goes well, from our certification. And it's going to generate two files, if all goes well. It's going to generate a public key and a private key that we'll use. Email, type in your email. You can agree to their terms of service. I'm assuming this means don't send me any expletive emails. If that's what it means, that's awesome. Or maybe it doesn't mean that at all and I'm just being ridiculous. And then there's the domain that you are going to be leveraging for this particular certification. Now, for this guy, note that this is just a URL, a domain that I owned, that I'd purchased, because at one point maybe I was considering my brand name would have a 3 in it, because Coders Campus with a 3 is kind of like Leet code, you know, Leet speak, 13337, you know. Anyway. Thankfully, I didn't choose that as my brand name. So, but I just happened to be holding on to this domain. So the point is, you need a domain name here. You can't just put in 137 dot whatever. It can't be an IP address. SSL certificates are not issued to IP addresses. They are issued to domains. So you need to put an actual domain in there, and that is the one that we're going to be pointing this to. So that is how we get started there. However, that is not the end of our journey. This brings a conversation of, hey, there's this domain that I just talked about, this Coders Campus domain with a 3 in it. So I don't know how to say Coders Campus with a 3 in it. But there's a Coders Campus domain with a 3 in it that now needs to be pointed to in DigitalOcean. It needs to be pointed to this particular droplet, right? So this droplet needs to have this domain associated with it. And I don't know if you can do that in here. There is no domains here. So you need to go to create domains and DNS, enter a domain. So you'd enter in whatever domain you want to use for your SSL certificate. Mine is Coders Campus with a 3 instead of an E, campus.com. And I want to assign it to assignment submission app. Cool. So that'll add the domain here. Boom. You also need to add an A record. So it adds 3 name service DNS records. You also need an A record, because the A record is essentially the most important record that tells it exactly where this IP address should resolve. That's the point of a domain name service, is to say, hey, this four set of numbers together that are meaningless to the human eye need to resolve to a certain host, a certain domain name, right? So at is the host name, because you just want to do the root. At least if you want to do a subdomain, you would put a subdomain here, but I'm just doing at. And I want it to go to my 137.184 droplet. And then the time to live for now, I'm going to put 600 seconds, because I think that's the lowest you can go, because I want it to sort of kick in ASAP. So again, this takes a little while for it to kick in. I should really wait like 30 minutes. I should pause this for 30 minutes and walk away. But we'll give it a shot, because you never know, it might just work. So so that's the setup. The next most important thing that you need to do here is wherever you purchase the domain name, which I assume you probably didn't purchase it through DigitalOcean. Maybe you did. I don't know if they sell domains or not. But probably wherever you purchase the domain name from, you need to go to that place that you purchased the domain to edit the domain's DNS records. Okay, so the domain has DNS records. You need to edit the DNS records and replace the name servers for that domain to point to these 3 name servers. ns1.digitalocean.com. You don't need the trailing period as far as I know, but I guess you can put it in if you want. ns1, ns2, ns3.digitalocean.com. Those 3 NS records, name servers, those 3 records need to be placed into the domain's DNS registry area, wherever it was that you purchased it. So if you purchased it from AWS, you need to go in there and edit it there. If you purchased it from domainnames.com or something, you need to go in there. And if you purchased it from GoDaddy, you need to go in there and edit the DNS records for that domain. Point the name servers here. The name servers will be pointed probably to the place that you purchased it from. So again, if you bought it from AWS, it'll be using the AWS name servers. If you bought it from GoDaddy, it'll be using the GoDaddy name servers. You need to replace it with the DigitalOcean name servers. And it's gonna freak out. It's gonna say, are you sure you know what you're doing? Because basically what you're saying is take the domain and put it into the hands of DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is now going to determine how this domain name functions. Okay, so it's a bit drastic, but that's how this works. That's how you got to set it up. So whatever domain you're doing this on, make sure you understand what you're doing, right? If the domain is currently up and running and being used, well, now you're pointing it to this droplet here in DigitalOcean, and it's going to run whatever the droplet has set up. As long as that's what you want to do, cool. That's what we're trying to do. If you don't want it to go down for like potentially 24 or 48 hours while this happens across the globe, you've been warned, because this could take a little while for the whole transition to happen. All right. So, like I said, step 1, create the domain DNS record here. Step 2, add the A record to point to your droplet. Step 3, make sure you change the domain name servers, the name servers, name server records for the domain name service, whatever, for the domain that you purchased from wherever you purchased it from. So log into GoDaddy, change the DNS records, replace the name servers with these 3 name servers, the NS1, NS2, and NS3, digitalocean.com. Save. Again, set the time to live to be as low as you can at first. Then once it's working, then you can change the time to live to be a bit less, like maybe it's more efficient if it's longer time to live. Anyway, cool. Hopefully that makes as much sense as it can. So now that's happening, if I just do a ping on it, if I go and ping coderscampus.com, does it resolve to 137.184? Yeah, 149. Sweet. So when I ping it, look, I pinged coderscampus.com, and it's resolving to 137, 184, whatever. So if I go to coderscampus.com on my machine, it is not happy. Oh, because there's another E in there. Coderscampus.com. Come on, baby. Oh, right. So this is something weird. This is something that's got cached in my computer because I messed up an old... I put .com before, and so it's a different... Anyway, if I open a private session and go coderscampus.com, there. Now it goes to homepage, right? So if we do a docker compose logs follow, boom, and we go to like /login, thinking, boop, see, you just saw it did some stuff. Just to show you that it's actually working, right? I say Trevor, and then ASDF, login, see? So it's working. So we have, it's pointed to coderscampus.com, points to our domain. So that's fantastic. That means that hopefully, let's pray that when we take this down and bring it back up again, now that, remember, we added the, in the Docker compose file, we added the SSL service here. Hopefully, if all goes well, it's going to issue an SSL certificate for this domain because the domain is properly rendering and everything. Hopefully, it'll issue the certificate and share that certificate with the front end. Okay? That's the hope. So let's exit Docker compose down to bring everything down. And then we'll bring it back up. Docker compose up. Let's do a build, and let's run it in the background because I'd rather do Docker logs or whatever. Oh, now it's pulling the image, the certbot image. And then we'll do the logs, Docker compose logs, and follow to make sure that this certbot instance actually worked. So it downloaded the image. Seems like it hasn't had a problem. SSL service, done, sweet. Docker compose logs follow. Show me certbot. So SSL service is purple, requesting a certificate. Okay, please show me good news. Oh my God, it worked. Successfully received certificate. I did this yesterday. This was the video that I lost because I recorded 2 videos. This is the second video that I'm doing this second video for the second time because I lost it the first time. This was a nightmare yesterday. It was not working well because the coderscampus.com URL was not binding to the proper IP address. And then I had so many failed attempts in certbot in a row that it locked me out. I got locked out for like an evening. So be careful. Don't let it fail too many times. Have some faith in your code. So anyway, sweet. So we got the certificate issued. As you can see, etc let's encrypt. That's the other folder that we have in our volumes that we're sharing between servers. So it issued in the live coderscampus.com/whatever. So we have the public key and the private key. And as you can see, the certificate expires in, well, this is 3 months from today. At least I think it's 3 months from today. It's February right now. So yeah, 3 months from today. So you have to automatically renew this, and I'll show you how to renew in just a moment. Cool. So next steps, the certificate will need to be renewed, yes, before it expires. And if you want to donate, you can donate. So if you have the ability to donate, like I said, I used to pay $300 a year for this stuff. So now we have received an SSL certificate, but we don't have access to it yet. We haven't leveraged it yet. Let me just do an execute in interactive mode. I want to look at the front end. Can I do a bash in there? No. Can I do an sh? Yes. So I want to look at the var. Is it www certbot? I want to look at the etc. Let's encrypt live. Oh, coders, there it is, Coders Campus. Boom. So, full chain and private key PEM files are on my front end. So the actual web, the Nginx web server, it's been shared with there. It's been shared to there now. So it came from the certbot instance, the certbot image with the sharing of the volumes got shared with our web server, our Nginx. So we have the files there. So now it's a matter of let's exit out of that instance. We'd done a shell into our front end instance. Now all we need to do, let's Docker compose down, and let's change the server settings. I guess really I only need to take one. When I say Docker compose down, it brings everything. I'd actually only needed to bring the front end down, but anyway, I just realized that now I didn't necessarily need to bring everything down. Anyway, let's edit the Nginx configuration file, and we can now uncomment some of this stuff. So what do I want to do? So I want to comment out this stuff and then uncomment this stuff. So basically what's going to happen is and by the way, this was important for that certbot instance. Certbot sends a GET request to this endpoint. It sends a coderscampus.com/.wellknown/acme challenge. So when it sends a request there, we're redirecting it to our certbot folder, which is, I guess, it had some files there that were needed to issue the certificate and everything, right? So this is I believe this is very important for the certbot step to work when you first get the certificate issued, which is what we just did. Anyway, now we want to redirect, because now we have an SSL certificate and we want to use it, right? So now if anyone visits this site outside of the certbot location, we should redirect. 301 is a redirect code. 301 means redirect. We want to return a redirect to the encrypted version, HTTPS version of our domain name, okay? And then request URI is just whatever came in. So if someone typed in HTTP:// in other words, a non-secured version, coderscampus.com/login, the /login part is this request URI. So we want to capture that as well and say, hey, redirect to HTTPS coderscampus.com/login. That's what this request URI part is saying. Cool. Now we have another server that's going to be listening on port 443. Okay, and I'll get into the rest in a moment. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to say, hey, listen on port 443 with a, this is the IPv6 version of internet protocols. This is the standard protocol. This is the IPv6. IPv4 I think is the name. Anyway, again, I'm not an expert. So we're listening on 443, which is the SSL SSL port. Look, SSL certificate, etc. /let's encrypt /live /coders campus /full chain pem and priv key pem. Do you recognize those two file names? This is the public key. This is the private key. This is how you tell this particular server, the SSL portion of the server, where the keys are. So this is important, right? Those keys need to be in those folders for this to work. And as we checked and saw, they are in that folder. Now we're going to do some fanciness here, because wait, do we need to do fanciness here? Or do we just need to do what we had up here? Yeah, I think we could just do what we had up here, which is this and this. So now these guys, copy, they can come down here. I don't think we need to do any of this. I had done this a different way. And again, I just like to call audibles and do things differently. Let's try this, because we had that up previously. So now for the SSL, when it comes into SSL, for any path it goes to, check the user share Nginx HTML folder for the index HTML file. That feels correct to me, unless it's an API call. If it's an API call, proxy pass it to the backend. And note, this is not, I made this mistake once, this should not be HTTPS here, because the container running the backend code, the backend web server, whatever you want to call it, the Tomcat server, that is not on an HTTPS connection, and it doesn't have to be, because that's an inside network thing. You don't need to have encrypted, I guess, stuff going across the network on the inside, I don't think. So this it should not be HTTPS, because then you get weird errors. At least that's what I ran into. I fail so that you don't have to. And I think now that we just pass it to the backend on port 8080 for anything that comes to the API. So any API routes, we go to backend. Anything else, we just serve the files, right? And all this other stuff is commented out. I don't think we need to worry about that. Let's see. Let's see with all that talking if this is going to work. Oh no, my son just woke up. Okay. Let's not run it in the background because I want to see if it comes up. It's 3:30 on a Saturday, which means my son is waking up, which means I gotta go soon. Oh no. So SSL service. Okay, so this is expected. Right, I forgot about this. So the certificate is not due for renewal yet, but we tried to issue it again and it didn't work. We need to change some settings there. So that is expected. Did the front end come up? Seems like the front end came up. The back end seems to be okay. It's still spooling up. Okay. So, let's visit the raw domain and go to the root of the raw domain and see what happens. Okay, beautiful. Holy cow, it worked. Oh my god. So, you can't see, but if I hit home, look, this is HTTPS now. So we have the secure version. If we go to /login, does it work? Oh my goodness. So we are on a secured connection. Here's our certificate. I realize it's saying, did you mean Coders Campus? Because this is, I guess, again, another reason why I'm happy I didn't make this my domain name. Attackers sometimes try to mimic sites, but anyway. Certificate is valid, right? It says, when was it issued? It was issued today. Well, I'm recording this February 2022. It's valid until May 2022. Fantastic. Now, the one last thing to test is the proxy pass. Does the proxy pass work? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I did it. I did it. Sweet. So, hey, that didn't take too. I was expecting like an hour-long video. Sweet. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have done almost all the steps. The one last step I want to show you is, oh my god, it's almost like I understand this stuff. I feel so good. Let's go back to the Docker Compose. Hold on. What am I changing? What am I trying to do again? Oh my god, I just lost. Brain fart. I just lost what I was trying to do. Right, yes, Docker Compose. In the Docker Compose, for the SSL service, we have all these commands to try to get a certificate. We only have to do this once. Okay, so this is kind of temporary code that you run once, which is not ideal, I know, but all these commands can be replaced now with another command, which is actually a bit nicer, and that is just renew. That's it. You just need to try to renew. You can comment everything else out. I like to comment it out just in case I need to do it again or use it again. I don't know. I guess I'm squirreling that stuff away. But let's save that and let's bring it back up. Docker Compose up, build, and as you'll see, it will try to renew again. But this is the better way to renew. Is instead of reissuing the entire certificate, I just want to renew the existing certificate, which we will see somewhere right here. So it says, hey, processing whatever this configuration file. It says, hey, the certificate is not yet due for renewal. They're not due for renewal yet, so no renewals attempts were made, and that's it. So in other words, it comes up, it says, nope, we don't need to renew yet, so we'll shut back down and we're done, right? So now everything else should come up as expected, as normal. I'll wait for it to fully come up and test. There we go. Let me refresh this page, /dashboard. Boom, we're logged in. Secure, certificate is still valid. Everything is still A-OK. I can log out. I can log in. Everything works perfectly. So there you go. That is my little tying things up with a nice, neat little bow. I'm happy I was able to get all that to work. From here on out, I'm sure there's more stuff that we can do with this application, and we'll see what the future has in store for this series. But for now, I need to go be a dad, so take care of yourself, everyone. As always, happy learning. Oh, wait! Don't forget to like. If you like this content, please give me a like, and also click above me to subscribe. And also, if you love this stuff, and you want to get a job doing this coding thing, go to coderscampus.com without a 3, coderscampus.com/bootcamp. I teach, well, not this stuff. I don't teach the Docker stuff. You don't need to know it. You don't need to be taught it now. You've learned it. I teach you how to code. So I teach you how to code such that you can get a job in the real world. It is a 6-month, super intensive boot camp. It is, you learn a lot. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. And I absolutely love this stuff, and I love teaching. We have an amazing program with amazing students, incredible staff that I can't speak highly enough about. I would not be here. My business would not be in business if it wasn't for my amazing staff. So check it out, coderscampus.com/bootcamp. If you want to get a job as a coder and you really are passionate about learning this stuff, maybe you've tried before, you've learned from YouTube and it wasn't sticking and you're frustrated, who knows? I invite you to apply today and see if you'd be a good fit for the bootcamp and vice versa. Make sure the bootcamp is a good fit for you. So check it out, coderscampus.com/bootcamp. And again, click above here on the circle to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this kind of content. So thank you so much. As always, take care of yourself. Happy learning, and bye for now.